in El Salvador, where I visited a women's prison where women had been jailed, sentenced to 30 years to life for having a miscarriage. That's right. They were accused of basically deliberately having an abortion, which is illegal under the Salvadoran constitution. And it is what happens when you put the right to life, when you give fetuses, when you give zygotes personhood. Women and people who can get pregnant become second-class citizens. That's what happens. I went there to cover that. It was in 2016. And it was this wild sort of, tunnel vision moment where you're like, this could happen here under a Trump administration, under a right-wing Supreme Court, if there's no sufficient fight from Democrats. And honestly, that is an oxymoron, Democrats who fight. This will happen in this country. And lo and behold, it did. It did last year in Ohio to a woman named Brittany Watts, who was charged with a felony for abusing a corpse. Well, what was the corpse she abused? It was a miscarriage. It was her 21-week miscarriage. So she gave an interview to CBS this past week, and I just want you to hear the kinds of the ways that our medical system, if abortion rights are not protected, if doctors and hospitals do not feel empowered to save women's lives, to adequately provide care, they, in effect, simply turn into narcs. Here's Brittany Watts speaking about her experience.
The nurse comes in, and she's rubbing my back and talking to me and saying everything's going to be okay. Little do I know, the nurse that was comforting me and saying that everything was going to be okay was the one who called the police.
I had a mother who had a delivery at home and came in without the baby, and I need to have someone go find this baby or direct me on what I need to do.
Did she say if the baby was alive or not?
She said she didn't want to look, she didn't want the baby, and she didn't look.
The nurse said that you said you didn't want to look and that you did not want the baby. Do you remember saying that?
I said I did not want to look. I had never said I didn't want my baby. I would have never said something like that.
Yeah. So there it is, a woman who has a miscarriage, and then the nurse calls 911, and effectively that leads to her the charges that she received, a felony. Those charges were dismissed, but this is the slippery slope that we are on 100%. And I want to just say, it is evil and awful for a nurse to do that. In El Salvador, women would wake up from having had miscarriages and be handcuffed to their beds. We are not far off from that in places in these red states, which we'll talk about in 1 second. But I just want to name how chilling and disgusting that is when the entire medical system views you as a criminal. And that is what's happened under this far-right government. It is also and this Supreme Court. It is something I don't think Joe Biden has a plan to actually reverse course on. But he is banking, and we're going to talk about the election in a little bit, especially vis-a-vis his unmoving policy around, the genocide in Gaza. He is banking on the fact that women are incensed, specifically women in red states, and maybe that is enough. I do want to mention that Ohio, and remember, Ohio was one of the first states to have these heartbeat bans. Ohio was one of these first states that was as soon as a heartbeat's detected, which means literally nothing, but 6-week abortion ban. I mean, super early. And they passed a measure. The voters passed a measure. I think it was 57% of voters passed a measure to protect abortion rights, overriding all of the draconian laws that they had on the books. And now their state legislature, their Republican state legislature, is why don't we ignore that? So they're trying to override that. So again, meanwhile, people, hospital professionals are the ones caught in the middle. But it is wild to me. This is the thing that people like me and Nat Geo go and sort of shake their head at, El Salvador, this backwards country that, wow, I can't believe you would do this. No, we're doing it. were doing it to women in this country for the crime, supposed crime of having a miscarriage. That being said, I don't care if you want the baby or not. You should not be treated as a criminal. There's no evidence. What the fuck is this nurse doing? This fucking nurse doesn't know this woman was not to term. I'm sorry. Who the fuck are you? Like, honestly, who are you? What are you doing? You were so ill-equipped to do your job. Anyway, a little glimpse into our future if we don't actually have a plan to stop it. But that just like, I knew in 2016 we'd see this. And then in 2023, we did. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.